the first thing we're going to look at is finding the area of a triangle. Okay. We're going to look at finding the area of a triangle. Okay, so one thing I want to point out, and you guys know this, but remember that multiplying by 1/2 is the same thing as doing what? Multiplying by 1/2 is the same as what? Dividing by 2. It's the same as dividing by 2. Okay, that's going to come in handy when we're looking at some of these formulas. So multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. That's when you should be taking notes. All right, so let's just go ahead. I'm going to draw a triangle. I'm going to draw a couple triangles, actually. Okay, when we're trying to find the area of a triangle, we need to know two things. Does anybody have an idea of what those two things are? Miller? Scott? We don't have to know what kind of triangle it is. Caleb? No, it's two parts of the triangle we need to know. Brennan? Nope. Haley? We need to know the base and the height. Okay, so at the bottom of the triangle, that's going to be our base. Okay? Of either one, the bottom is going to be the base. Okay? That's when you need to scoot up and take this on your desk. Okay? Where would I put the height for these triangles? What about on that first one, Brett? On the dotted line. Right. Okay? What about on the second one? Sarah Alice? On this side or this side? The straight side, yeah. Okay? And if you'll notice, if I take off half of this triangle, it looks the same as the other one. Okay? Now just to see what you know, what type of triangle is the one on the left? Heart? What? No. Caleb? Andrew? The one on the left. Oh, wow. Bailey? It's an equilateral triangle. All three sides are the same length. Okay? What about the one on the right, Grace? It's a right triangle. Good. Good. Okay. So now let's look at the two. There are two, well, it's one formula, but you can write it two different ways to find the area of a triangle. Okay, the first way is multiplying 1/2 times base times height. That's the one that I was always taught. So that's one option. But remember up here we said that multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing, excuse me, by 2. So how else could I write this formula? Mary Gray? Yeah. I could write it as base times height divided by 2. And honestly, I kind of like this one better. Because all you have to do is multiply two numbers together and then divide by 2, rather than have to multiply 1/2 times the base times the height. For me, it just is a little bit easier. Andrew?
Can't you also divide the base by 2 and multiply that by the height?
I think, yeah, so the way that I was taught it was that it was 1/2 times the base, or 1/2 of the base times the height. Either way, I think you should get the same thing, okay? So personally, after I was making these notes, I kind of liked doing base times height divided by 2 better. Okay, I don't know about you, but that's just kind of what I prefer. Okay? But either one of those, you can tell those are the same thing. Because we know multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. Okay? So let's look at an example. Okay? So on this first one, I'm going to draw a triangle. Okay? All right, so let's say, or someone tell me, what's my base? What's the base? 10 kilometers. What's my height? 30 kilometers. Okay? Now, one thing I'm pretty sure I said in the video on Friday is every time you're solving for area, you need to rewrite the formulas. That's going to be the best way that you can remember them. So the first thing I'm going to do is write my formula. And I'm just going to go ahead and use base times height divided by 2. Okay? You should be writing this down. Okay? Now, before I go through and solve it, because so many people have an issue showing their work, we're going to go through each step to make sure you're showing all of your work. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is plug in the information I need. So what's the base? Caleb? 10 kilometers or kilometers times my height, which is what? And that's divided by 2. Okay? Now what's 10 times 30? So then I'll have 300 divided by 2. What's 300 divided by 2? 150 what? Thank you. Okay? If you were, or whenever you do your test on this stuff, solving for area, this is the work that I should see. You write the formula, you plug in your information, and you go step by step. Okay? There should be no reason that all your answer says is A equals 150 kilometers. That shouldn't be the case. You should show your work. Okay? Part of the reason it's taken me so long to grade your tests is that I'm going through, and anywhere you didn't show your work, I'm writing out the work that you should have shown. So when you get your test back, maybe you made an A, but I'm going to have you calculate every time I had to write in the work you should have shown, you're going to take off a half a point and see what your grade would have been if I took off points for not showing work. Some of you, that would drop you down really low. I'm not taking those points off this time, but I want you to see for next time what will happen to your grade if you don't show your work. I don't care if you can get the right answer. I want to see that you can do it. I want to see the steps, okay? So the next test we have on Thursday, I'm not going easy on you. If you don't have work, I'm taking points off, okay? So hopefully when we look at those tomorrow, that'll be a wake-up call and you'll actually show your work, okay? All right, moving on. Let's do a couple more examples with triangles. So just like before, on Friday, we saw that they won't necessarily always give you the shape. They may just give you certain lengths or measurements or whatever, and you have to solve for whichever is missing. So let's say on this one, they tell you that the base is equal to 18 yards, and the height is 11 yards. And they want you to find the area. Okay? So really this isn't much different from the first example, there's just no picture. Okay? So, Casey, what's the formula for the area of a triangle? What's the formula for the area of a triangle? Caleb? What is the formula for the area of a triangle? Brennan?
Base times height divided by 2.
Thank you. Base times height divided by 2. Write that down every single time. That will help you remember. I'm not going to give you these formulas on your test. You're going to have to know them. Okay? So write them down every time. Okay, when I plug in the stuff I'm given, what am I going to have on the top, Caleb?
You're going to have 18 times 11
Divided by 2. Good. I'm already going to place a bet that some people are going to forget to write divided by 2. You've got to remember that. That's part of the formula. Okay? Trinity, what would I do next? Not going to divide quite yet. Before I divide, what do I have to do first? I'm sorry, 18 times 11. Sorry. Okay, so now, what do I need to do before I divide? I multiply 18 times 11, right? And what is that? 198. Still have to remember to divide by 2. So that'll give me what? 99 yards squared. Okay? That's your final answer. Okay? Caleb?
Well, there'd be some, and this one is like, so had a base of 18 dollars.
I'm not sure. I just got the test from Miss Allen this morning, and I haven't had a chance to look at it. So, possibly. It will probably be something like that number 20 on the homework. The word problem that they gave you. Okay? Why don't we do one more for triangles? Okay, so on this one, the base is 6 centimeters. And the area is 15 centimeters squared. So I've got to find out what my height is. Okay? Okay, how do I write the formula for the area of a triangle? Amen? What's the formula? Not when I plug it in. What's the formula for the area of a triangle? Trinity? Which is what? Base times height divided by 2. Okay? All right, what's the next thing I need to do? Araya? I need to plug in the information that I have. Okay, so what's the area? Did they give that to me? It's 15, so the area has to go on the left side. Okay, what's the base? 6 centimeters. Do I know the height? Nope. Okay, how do I go from here? I have to solve for the height. So there's a couple steps we need to take. Sarah Alice, what should I do first? Not yet. How do I get rid of this 2 down here? Well, am I going to divide by 2? I've got to multiply by 2, because if I do that, it's going to make these cancel out. So I've got to multiply both sides by 2. So what am I going to have on the left? I'll have 30 equals 6 times h. Now, what can I do to solve for the height? Andrew? I'm going to divide both sides by 6. So what will my height be? What will my height be? 5 centimeters. Okay? Okay, so let's just see if the base was 6 and the height was 5. Let's just double check to make sure we get the right area. Okay, so area equals base times height divided by 2. So that would be 6 times 5 divided by 2, which would give me 30 divided by 2, which would give me 15 centimeters squared. Okay? So that works. You can always double check by doing that. If you're solving for like the base or the height or the length or the width, double check. Solve for the area again and see if it works. Okay? Any questions on solving for the area of a triangle? Amen? Amen? We've got to move on to finding the area of a trapezoid. Okay? But once you start working on classwork, if you have a question about it, we can look at it more. Okay? All right, so without looking at your notes, John Carlo, what's the area of a triangle? What's the formula? Base times height divided by 2. Okay? All right, let's flip to the back. Let me get a new sheet of paper. Okay, at the top, you can write area of a trapezoid. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you don't know already, the formula to find the area of a trapezoid is a little more involved than the shapes we've looked at so far. So if you're not paying attention now, Andrew, you should be paying attention very closely. Okay? Because this is where I'm worried I'm going to lose some people if you're not with me. Okay? Amen. You should still be writing all of this down. Okay? Don't need any comments from anybody else. All right. So first of all, let's just draw a trapezoid. So what I would suggest is drawing the line on the top and then draw 2 diagonal lines going out and then connect them on the bottom. Okay. All right, so now we need to identify some different parts of this trapezoid. So what is this dotted line going to represent?
Height.
It's going to represent the height, yeah. Okay? Typically that dotted line is going to clue you in that that's talking about the height. All right, now we have 2 bases on a trapezoid. They're 2 different lengths. So they're not, if they were the same length, it wouldn't matter which one we use. Like on a rectangle, or not a rectangle, like on a parallelogram, they're the same length. So it's just one base. But these are 2 different lengths. So on the top, we're going to have base 1. So you would write a B with a little 1. Okay, so that's base 1. Wild guess on what the bottom one's going to be called. Base 2. Okay? So you've got to know the height, base 1, and base 2. Those are the 3 things that you need to solve for the area of a trapezoid. Will? Well, let's see. All right, so here's where you need to make sure you get this down exactly right, okay? So the formula for the area of a trapezoid, you're going to have something on the top and then on the bottom, okay? On the top, you're going to multiply the height times base 1 plus base 2. Okay, that's on the top. You're going to multiply the height times base 1 plus base 2. Then you're going to divide by 2. Okay? Like I said, these formulas, some of them get a little tricky, but you just have to remember them. Okay? So you've got the height multiplied by base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Okay? It depends on the length. Okay? So we'll look at a specific example in a second. All right, so go ahead and draw a box around that. That'll help you keep that straight. Okay? All right, so let's do another example where we're going to find the area of a trapezoid. All right, so I'm going to draw my trapezoid. Okay? All right. I'm going to have 4.3 meters on the top. Eamon, how many times have I said not to use the sharpener while I'm teaching? Again, do not need any comments. Please stop. Okay, on the bottom, I've got 10.5 meters. And here I'm going to have 6 meters. Okay, so before we plug everything in, I want to make sure we can correctly identify each of the parts, okay? So what's my height? 6 meters, right? What's base 1? I would just keep it consistent with the first part we looked at, so I'm going to use 4.3. It doesn't really matter because you're adding them together, and you know based on the commutative property that the order when you add doesn't matter. Just be consistent. Okay? So what's my second base? 10.5. Okay? Okay, so we've got the information we need. Now we need to plug it in. Okay, so remember the area of a trapezoid is height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Okay? Hudson, pull your clip. All right, so if I need to plug in what I know, what's it going to look like? What am I going to have on the top? Lenny? Yes. Okay, and when you're plugging stuff in with the equation, you don't have to write the units all throughout. Just make sure you add the units to your answer at the end. All right, so we've got the height, which is 6, times the base 1 plus base 2, which is 4.3 plus 10.5, divided by 2. Okay? What do I need to do next, Zoe? Yeah, that's what I would do. So keep the 6, because we haven't multiplied by it yet. What is 4.3 plus 10.5?
14.8.
Should give me 14.8. Still have to divide that by 2. Okay, what should I do next? Okay, what is 14.8 times 6? Should give us 88.8. Still have to divide by 2. So my final answer for the area should be what?
44.44 meters squared.
Good. Okay? That should be my final answer. 44.4 meters squared. Okay, so really the hardest part that I can see here is just remembering the formula and plugging everything in right. Once you plug it in, you guys know how to solve these equations. This is just order of operations. Okay? Any questions on that so far? We're going to do a couple more examples. All right? So let's look at one. It's going to give you the base, both of the bases, and the height, and you're going to find the area. Okay? Base 1 is going to be 12.5. Base 2 is 14. And the height is going to be 4. And this is all yards. Okay? All right, so again, I would start by writing this formula down. So you're going to have area equals height times base 1 plus base 2 divided by 2. Okay? Now I need to plug everything in. Okay, Parks, what's my height? What's my base 1, Hudson? What's my base 1? What does it say? 12.5. And what's my base 2, Aisha? 14. And all of that is going to be divided by 2. Okay? Now I just have to solve it. So what's 12 and a half plus 14? 26 and a half, 26.5, either way is fine. What do I need to do next, Araya? What do I need to do next? Multiply what? And when I do that, I should get 106 divided by 2. I should get 53 yards squared. Okay? All right, any questions on that? Okay, you can ask me later. Okay? Let's look at one more. Okay? We're going to be drawing another trapezoid. Okay? Okay, sometimes they might look like that. And that's fine. Okay? So let's say this side is 6 inches. This one's 14 inches. And this one's 10 inches. All right, so I need to find the base 1, base 2, and the height. Cut some feet down. Skylar, what's my height?
14 inches.
Yeah, my height's going to be 14 inches. And another way to think about the bases is that they're always going to be what to each other? Who said parallel? Yeah, the bases are going to be parallel to each other. Okay? So, knowing that, what's my base 1?
6 inches.
Yeah, we could make it 6. And base 2? Why don't we say it's 10? Okay? Okay, so once you've got all that information, you should be able to set it up. Okay? I'm going to write my formula again. Carter, tell me the formula as I'm writing it down. Not with the numbers plugged in, just tell me what the formula is. Not with the numbers plugged in. What's the formula, Sarah Alice? Area equals height times Yep. Okay. Bailey, once I plug everything in, what's it going to say? I'm going to start pulling more clips if we can't get it together. Araya? My height is 14 times base 1 plus base 2, which is what, Mary Brett? Thank you. 6 plus 10, all that divided by 2. Okay? What's 6 plus 10? Okay? I'm going to go up here. What's 14 times 16? Okay, when I divide by 2, what do I get?
112 inches.
112 inches squared. Okay? All right, are there any questions on finding the area of a trapezoid?